Who solved the mystery of the stolen Tesla? Why, Sherlock Holmes, of course. You're watching the Tesla Life with your host, Mark Houghton.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 293 on the 8th of February 2023. And Patrick has started with new facts that he's going to add to the beginning of every show, which could be a dad joke. We don't know, but that was great, Patrick. Fantastic ad-lib there. Speaking of Patrick, we join him from the West Coast. How are you today, sir?
Hello, Tesla Nation. I'm good. Welcome to our Gigawatt Hour. Should be fun. Let's get rolling.
Very good. Also with us as normal, Mr. Casey Green, minus his co-pilot. How are you today, sir?
Doing all right. She's been full of energy today. So
is she hanging from the ceiling? Is that what you're telling us?
I thought you were going to say she's all charged up.
She's a little bit past 100%. So maybe she'll have petered out for a nap, but I'm not counting on that.
Very good.
And
very good.
First in the chat is Anders, all the way from Sweden.
Very
nice.
good. Hello, Anders.
Hello.
Welcome. Well, let's get rolling. The news doesn't stop here at the Tesla Life, as anyone that's watched it before knows. And Casey's got our first story.
I sure do. Let me get some pictures up here for you. Let's see. So our friends at the Boring Company tweeted out a little thank you to their local fire department in Clark County. So let's see. Here is the Clark County tweet. And they have some pictures for us. So what were they doing? They were inside the boring loop. And they were simulating what would happen if they had an emergency with one of the construction workers. Because if we recall, the boring loop in Vegas isn't actually done. Only the convention center loop is done. So while they're building this out, you need the EMTs, the fire rescue folks, everyone to be ready to perform a rescue should something happen. I mean, we're talking construction here, and that's important. And they were able to do their drill successfully, and Boring Company thanked them for it. And some folks were wondering what these things they're wearing on their backs are. No, they're not power packs. They are.
They're not Ghostbusters?
They're not Ghostbusters. These are rebreathers, and they're good for at least 4 hours, depending on which model they selected. They could be good from 4 to 8 hours, and it looks like it'd be a lot easier on the back than scuba tanks. I mean, they are scuba,
right,
but they're rebreathers, but rather than compressed gas scuba. So I thought that was pretty neat.
Oh yeah, so that would make them lighter.
Yeah.
And like you said, 4 hours probably a longer time than what the compressed gas gives you. I would
imagine those are in minutes, especially if you start exerting yourself.
So this is just scrubbing the CO2 out of the air and letting them breathe what's in there already, just at a higher oxygen level or lower CO2 level. That's pretty cool. Yeah, because it's not like there's no air if there's a tunnel collapse. It's just that it can become high in CO2 or other gases. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, and like you said, they're working on some of the other tunnels. I haven't gotten an update that much from the Boring Company ever since the connection was finished to the Resorts Hotel. There's really been nothing that's been said about the expansion.
Half finished. Because remember, they only got one way done.
Right.
So this goes to not just all the naysayers out there, but a couple of our friends bought into the whole, this is not possibly safe. Well, what better way to prove how safe you are than to have regular safety drills with your local EMS team, right?
Yeah, and Tesla does the same thing with their vehicles. They release manuals for first responders on how to make sure that they handle them safely, so they don't. They know where to cut to turn off the high voltage, and so this is responsible and smart, and I'm glad they're doing it.
Absolutely. I just found out today that the original Roadster has the same cut loop under the hood as the Model S, and all the new ones do too.
Cool.
I knew it would have something. I just didn't know it would be the same one in the same place.
That's one thing that I think all the audio manufacturers have to work on are standardized cut loops for all versions of electric vehicles. I know right now it's a real mixed pot of where the cut loops are located, but that should be something that manufacturers should be, if they're not going to agree upon it together, then it should be mandated.
Yeah, because as you get more and more models, you can't necessarily. I mean, it's good to have published all the emergency responder guides, but you can't expect somebody to pull up in the middle of the desert and hope they have a signal or have already downloaded all of the appropriate guides to find your cut loops, especially if you're one of those manufacturers that does the block changes and had moved the loops from one place to another.
Exactly. Very good. Okay, and next, going to let's share something here. This is the next big news of the week, I guess. CyberTruck was spotted on the streets. Of course, in this photo, the one that was spotted on the street is the lower picture. The one above was a previous picture taken. But there was a short video even taken of the one on the bottom, and got a few people in an uproar pretty quickly because, of course, in the video, the brake lights came on, which can be seen in this photo. And of course, some people were presuming that the light bar was not going to be in place with this prototype. For example, if this was going to make it to production, nobody knew, but Elon quickly got on the Twitter and said, no, the light bar is coming. It's standard. It's going to be coming. Another piece of information that was shown in this photo was, of course, these smaller triangular side view mirrors.
I think that's a matter of aerodynamics, because Elon reiterated when we saw them that they're still removable. So like, I think in my state I can remove the passenger mirror. And this is based on the state where your vehicle's licensed. So.
Right. So, and that's always been the, I guess that's always been the solution for Tesla, is that there's some, that the mirror has the ability to be removed and the camera would cover the function. But as Casey has mentioned, some states are not going to allow the driver to remove anything or just one mirror. So that's
some will let you do both. Most will let you do the passenger side, and some like it would depend on how they classify the interior mirror. So you'd only be able to do it if the vault was open, for instance.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So this is this of course is going to be something for owners to check, so they're not getting tickets. It's I don't know. Tesla has been trying to get what I guess that'd be the Transportation Safety Bureau to look
Tesla. Everyone
look at removing those side mirrors and allowing cameras to take over that option.
Because you get a minimum 5% savings if you can remove side view mirrors. So everybody has been petitioning, and we get a lot of the cool tech, but we don't get. Patrick needs to open a window. We get a lot of the cool tech, but we don't get good headlights or mirror rigs. While Europe gets all the good headlights and mirror rigs, but they don't get any of the other cool tech that we get.
Yeah,
gotta love government.
So that is just again, that's something that we're excited to see, that there's at least some progress. We're seeing the Cybertrucks drive around. And again, Elon tweeted, yes, this is the year of Cybertruck start production. So
yeah, but 17 was also the year of the Model 3, and you might have found 50 of them in the country.
Hey, it started. Oh,
I'm not saying it's not a start.
It has to start somewhere.
Temper your expectations.
Don't expect 1 million to roll off the line this summer. So
right, yeah. If you're in line, you probably won't get yours till 2024. But depending on who you are, you might actually get yours.
Although it might be a little bit different this time because, of course, the Cybertruck's being made in Austin.
Yes.
So I wonder if it'll roll out to locals in the Austin area first.
Don't forget, you're not allowed to sell cars you built in Texas. So
okay, so they'll have to pick it up in Oklahoma, but at least it'll be closer to the factory. So,
speaking of weird states, Michigan is looking at removing their EV tax, or as our friend Dan says, the no gas tax.
Okay.
Or at least making it fair, because man, so many states right now have something like that. It's not at all fair.
We've got JT joining us in the chat. Hey, JT.
Oh, hello, JT.
Next, Casey's got a story in the 90s about the Model Y. So actually, he's got a couple stories about it.
I do. So, 1 second. I wasn't clicking through the articles real quick. So the Model Y in North America, it's, go figure, it's been selling like hotcakes, and the wait times have doubled already. And what happened in response to that was Tesla raised the prices a little bit, just kind of slow the flow a little bit. But then
you have to put the price change in context, though. The price came down from 70K to 57K. That's a pretty big drop. So, and
it wasn't one of the Elon swings. It was just a slight. It went up $500.
I thought it was $1,500, but it's ticked up after a big drop.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so then, in response to that, among other things, the IRS decided they would define an SUV the same way that the EPA does. You know, the same way that any normal American would look at. All right, the government says I need an SUV. How do I look at that? Oh, let me go to the EPA fueleconomy.gov. Oh, it's an SUV. Here we go. So,
right
now,
I'm glad to see that change, because we're asking for it. It's like, why is the IRS using completely different rules than the rest of the government for what defines an SUV? It was ridiculous, and I'm glad they listened when we all said, "Hey, that's ridiculous."
Right. So now all Model Ys qualify as SUVs. So they have a new cap, at least until March, of $80,000, as does every Mustang Mach-E, the Cadillac Lyriq, all the Volkswagen ID4s, which previously only used to be the four-wheel drive ones and not the two-wheel drive ones. And so the difference with the Model Y is no longer the 5-seat ones. The 5-seat ones that don't qualify, they all qualify now.
Right.
So just to bring it back full circle. And then the Model X would qualify if they ever did that thing where they dipped it below 80 again, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess the other thing is that Tesla now has a higher ceiling when it comes to the IRA tax credit on the Model Y.
Yeah.
And we could
raise the price again.
We could see a rising of pricing a little bit more. Again, this podcast has said nothing but if you're comfortable with the price and you're getting the car you want, get in while you can immediately, because things will change. And with Tesla, they change almost, could be nightly. You never know.
Twice in a day sometimes. Like, this is Elon we're talking about here. And,
so that huge price drop that Patrick was mentioning, the 13,000 drop, some of that may get taken back a little bit now that the IRA has changed the rules.
And the wait times.
Yeah, and the wait times are now increasing. So a quick doubling happened. Even though we expect more production, the Model Y is probably going to be close to, if not the most popular car in 2023. So
it has been in several regions.
If you're sitting on the fence, I would suggest you make up your mind now and move.
Before March, especially, because in March they're going to have the rest of the rule changes, and that's going to swing everything for every manufacturer. Some will get better, some will get worse because some are built with union. Some will get worse because they've got like Chinese batteries in them. So again, if you see something and it's in your budget and it's what you want or good enough, then don't play around with this. I mean, you can always cancel it before it shows up, if at least in Tesla's case, if you'll be out the order fee. But
and it might be too late for some trims because some of them have 8-week delays, which push you past March. So
right. And then the other thing with this I was thinking of as you guys were speaking is, I wonder, depending on where Cybertruck pricing lands, and I'm assuming that this can be made with Austin batteries, so that will be, depending on, again, what they say in March, that might make the Cybertruck fully qualify. And I'm wondering how many people are going to not pick the quad motor now to get the full
keep it under the $80K pack price.
Yeah, there's a lot of balls in the air here when it comes to pricing and the IRA credit. So there's a number of things to consider as you get down to the ordering. So
yeah, like with the Ford Lightning, the work truck qualifies, but none of the like normal people cars do, because they start at 79 and change, and then you've got the dealer markup, and then you've got any options. But the work truck starts at 40. Well, 40 plus whatever Ford's marked it up to now, because they've been doing the Tesla thing. And but still, it's like maybe 50. It's still within the 80 by a long shot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, a number of manufacturers, including Tesla, were looking at that cutoff at 55 if the vehicle was labeled as a sedan, as some Model Ys were. So many of them were scrambling with pricing, trying to be competitive with other automakers and vying for consumer dollars, and hoping that their consumers could get that $7,500. So it's certainly a lot fairer at this point.
With at least this we can look at it and make sense.
So, and that includes the other automakers as well. Like I'm not sure why a Cadillac Lyriq was not considered an SUV because of maybe an arbitrary thing like weight. Even though, you look at it and it's SUV-ish for sure. So it becomes a question of I guess getting the government to be more clear with what they're actually trying to do here.
So one thing that was pretty interesting with this was who was willing to follow Tesla down on price cutting, and who was going to stand their ground, and also who raised their prices. So you had Xpeng and Ford and a couple others that followed Tesla in this massive price cuts, even to the point where it hurt them, because Xpeng and Ford can't really afford to lose any of their price of their car for their profit.
VinFast as well.
VinFast, yes, that was one. And then GM did two things. On the Bolt, they raised the price, and on everything else, they said, we're not cutting prices. And go ahead, Mary, you lead.
Well, of course, GM hasn't. They're already pretty bottom priced when it comes to the Bolt and the Bolt EUV.
Yeah.
So that's not a big surprise. And of course, the other side, they have the Hummer, which is not a price-conscious vehicle in the first place.
There's that, and no matter how much you cut it, you're not going to get it into the realm. That's $20,000 off the top.
And neither of those cars are in a high volume production either. They're very low production at this point. So it's they certainly have some time to see where the dust settles before they start moving. But of course, you look at what GM's offering in the Equinox that's coming out. Fairly competitive. I believe it's supposed to be coming up at now 30K as a starting price. So but there's a number of different automakers that are now weighing the pros and cons of all these balls in the air, trying to figure out how they can get a slice of the pie and what their consumers are going to accept and won't accept. So
also FYI, PSA. We're not tax people, but and you take this to wherever you get your tax advice from, for all these purchases. But also, if you were looking at doing the leasing loophole, Senator Manchin is making real stink about not just fixing the loophole so that cars that don't qualify stop qualifying, but also they're looking for a clawback. So if you do get the money, or worse, if your dealer or manufacturer gets the money and they give it to you, the IRS will be coming back to you to get it back, and then the manufacturer might still get to keep the money, and you will still owe $7,500 or whatever the lease portion of that happens to be. So be careful with leases.
Something to consider for sure.
Well, if your income and the car are not where they should be to qualify as a purchase, be very careful.
Exactly. Well, moving on to another continent, over to Europe. Germany has this at the end of January, Tesla posted a over 900% year-over-year growth rate in the month of January. So, and this is a little bit misleading. It's a huge number, obviously, but somewhat misleading because, of course, startup was just getting underway. And now Berlin is producing 5,000 or 4,000 a week.
We also saw, train loads of Model Ys coming in from China that same time period last year. So this is still impressive.
Yeah, it's not quite as impressive. Like the 900% increase is a little bit of an inflated number based on what was happening last year.
From 9 to 900.
Yeah, it's quite a bit. But again, it's great to see that Germany is starting to ramp up just as Texas is. So we're going to have some record months coming up for sure, based on Berlin ramping up and continuing to ramp up throughout this year. Hopefully, it's up to speed maybe by halfway through 2023, and they're up to the levels that they need to be at, and hopefully can even achieve a little bit more. Because as we've just talked about in the second or third story, the demand is there, because wait times are expanding based on this world price cut that has happened just recently. So
yeah, they're talking about adding shifts in Shanghai. It hasn't been done yet. They're talking about it. And then somebody else was speculating, like, what if Tesla is on another halving of the price, like we saw between the Model S and the Model 3?
Yes.
We will find out at Investor Day.
That we shall.
Right. Coming up March the 1st, right?
Yes. Did either of you guys get an invite? I didn't get an invite.
No,
I did not.
I saw the invite, but I didn't get one.
Mark, did you register your shares with the company? I know Patrick probably did.
No, haven't done that yet.
Oh, then they'll never send you an invite at that rate.
That's true. Next, Patrick's got our story about FSDBeta and what's happening there.
That's right. FSDBeta version 11. We've been promised since December, and now it's not 2 weeks away. It's just 1 week away.
Wait. So on, was it Friday or Saturday? Elon tweeted end of the week. I'm like, dude, do you know how to work a timepiece?
Tweet that on a Saturday, and I'm going to assume you mean a week later. Yes. Yeah, so I assume that means the end of next week, depending on which calendar you're looking at. So, don't
forget, Friday for him could be Sunday morning at 6 a.m.
Right. Yeah, when someone never sleeps, it's hard to tell if they even know what time zone they're in as much as he jets around.
Yeah.
But yes, it's not getting the 2 week treatment anymore. It's down to 1 week somehow, depending on the math. There will be no math in this show. So
I like that the header image for this story is shot from a Model X, it looks like, and like there's a billboard advertising the Galaxy Z Fold 5G, and it's like work from home, work from anywhere, and like that's the complete opposite of what Musk believes.
Oh yeah, that is kind of funny. Yeah, so this is from Teslarati with Simon Alvarez, and so he's got Musk's tweet in here. Version 11 has been tougher than expected, as it is a significant re-architecture of the neural networks plus many more neural networks replacing C++, hoping to ship version 11.3 end of week. And that was on February 4th.
Or 12? I mean, usually when you make major overhauls, you seriously bump your version numbers.
Well, yeah, so it was a big bump to version 11. And then they've been testing it internally. So this hasn't gone, no version of 11 has gone out to the public yet. Right. And they have a massive amount of simulation. So they run it in simulation. They see where it's performing better, where it's performing worse. If the areas where it's performing worse, you have to fix those. Anytime you have a big re-architecture like this, you are going to have regressions. It's just the way that things work. Because all the other stuff has been there and it's been polished, and all the problems that it had, those have been fixed, right? Within some degree.
Or at least known. I wouldn't say always fixed.
Yes, exactly. Well, so the problems that they know that can fix. So it's that architecture has reached its limit, right? Yeah. So that's why you go to a new architecture, because it's a stacking S curves, but the next S curve is below where it starts is below the top of the other one, but it'll have its development time, and then it'll get to a new plateau.
Yeah, so if you didn't like your car turning left into oncoming traffic before, imagine what it can do with something not as good.
Right. So
training-wise, not necessarily technically wise, but training-wise.
You do have to take a step back sometimes to get to on a new path that can take you even farther forward. And that's exactly what's happening here. And I saw some people digging on Musk for saying the neural networks generate C++ too. So what's he talking about saying it's replacing C++? And come on, don't be dumb. If you know anything about how this works, you know that code written in C++ by a human is very different than code derived from a neural network machine learning system. So what he said is very clear and understandable, and you're just trying to find ways to dig at him. But when you do something in a tweet, you're concise and you got your point across. So
not anymore. You have 4,000 characters for tweets now.
Oh, really? Wow.
Twitter blue subscribers. That's why nobody could tweet today. Like it wasn't just me apparently.
Well,
like if you were tweeting and you were told can't reply right now, or you're over the limit or whatever, it was. They don't have a test environment at Twitter, so
just throw it out there and see what happens. Well, it's that's fine. It's social media. It's not rocket.
Well, thankfully Tesla doesn't work this way. Because man, if you were just driving your car and it got a new update like while you're driving, and all of a sudden
that would not be good.
Completely different.
Right. In fact, that's exactly why this is delayed, because they are going through and doing testing and being rigorous about what they put out there, unlike what you can do with social media.
You got a military satellite halfway to orbit, and they changed the next payload, and so like that one all of a sudden is going the wrong way.
Oops.
They also have a test in SpaceX.
Well, yeah, there you go. So hopefully we will all be all of us who have FSDBeta will soon be rocking a V11 dot something soon.
Now the V11 did that combine the stacks of the
it was supposed to, but he hasn't committed to that.
Yeah,
right. Like that was how it was talked about earlier. I don't know whether that's going to make what gets out there finally, but the navigate on autopilot, the stuff that is used on the highways, freeways, that has not been updated in a long time. They've been focusing instead on city streets. And so now they are going to be updating the freeway version with the same code they've been
Elon
using.
said that for sure.
Right.
But all those people who always ask him the same thing after any tweet, they've stopped asking him if it meant single stack for everything, like including parking lots and what they call ASS, which is actually smart summon. Like, Elon, can I get some ass tonight? And he'll answer.
Right. Yes. Yeah, he's not afraid to be childish, and neither are a bunch of the followers. There you go. That's his
so. By the end of this week is what he had, I guess, aimed for. Because you're right. I think on the weekend he's already considering it's the new week. So
right. So
we will see.
Sunday at 3 a.m.
Yep, could be. Could
be. So if a Musk 2 weeks is 4 months, then a Musk 1 week is how long? I don't know.
I thought it was always times
it's logarithmic at least. Remember, self-driving by the end of the year.
Is it linear or is it non-linear?
Everything times pi, just the way it is.
Oh, there you go. Yes.
Next story. It's about the weather. The weather actually here in southern Ontario and southern Quebec. Last weekend, starting on Friday, we had a tremendous cold snap that rolled through our region. And we had some really cold temperatures, minus 20 Celsius, happened for the Friday and Saturday night, as well as somewhere into Monday. So it was very cold. There was about another minus 10 added on to it for the wind chill that was going on. Now, wind chills don't affect cars. They just affect people. But still, minus 30 is no pleasant, whether you're man or machine. And what happened here along the 401 corridor, which runs from basically Detroit all the way up to Quebec City, Quebec, was as this cold front ran through, I started to notice over the weekend that people were complaining about supercharging times. And
when did you get to California?
Yeah. That's what I thought. But I kept my mouth shut watching this. But there was a number that were complaining about supercharging times increasing, and then starting to there were waits now. There were actually queues and lineups that started. And this happened all throughout the weekend. And that's because people that aren't familiar with going through a cold winter, these may be new owners, or these may be people that have a set way of dealing with charging. But when it gets to cold temperatures, the cars take longer to charge.
Mhm.
And of course, the charge doesn't last as long depending on how you're using the battery, the internal
Especially
heat.
if you don't pump your tires back up.
Yep, your tire
yeah.
pressures, all everyone, many people have snow tires on. That's another loss of range. So it turned out that the cold snap really pushed many people into believing, okay, I don't have enough charge, so I've got to stop before I go home or before I get to work, and I've got to hit a supercharger to top me up so I can get where I think I want to go. So that, I guess, thought with many people doing it caused the chargers to start to back up. And that's kind of an interesting thing. Now, obviously, Tesla's getting this data. They know based on the superchargers who's charging, how many cars are charging per hour, how many stations are available at any given time of the day or night. So they're collecting this data. And of course, this is going into their algorithm to devise where a supercharger is needed, the next new one, or when one needs to be expanded. And that is something that we here in Southern Ontario and Quebec are starting to experience, because of course, with the Model Y being the #1 selling car, we're all going down this road together. There's just more and more vehicles coming on. We in this podcast have all said that there's probably going to be about 2 million released next year. So that's another 2 million added to the present amount that are out there. And they're going to add to this bottleneck. And of course, when situations like in the US, when Thanksgiving arrives or comes upon us, there's going to be more travel. There's going to be more people on the roads. There's going to be more supercharging. So all these things are working into really a live scenario as to what charging is required and how that charging is affected by holidays and weather situations, and how that's going to be modified as time goes along. So I just let people know that you're going to have to operate the car normally, but keep in mind some of these existing conditions that are out there. Know that if you get into a situation where it's extremely cold and you want to be able to charge, there could be a wait. Maybe it's a case for, instead of charging your car up at home once every 3 days, in the winter you switch to charging it up every 2 days or every day.
Right. Or if you were charging to 70%, maybe you charge to 85 or 90%.
Correct.
When you know you're going to be going out.
Right. And then in the map, it actually they were so bad they turned the clocks all over.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you can be waiting. Another thing I like about some of the later software updates is if you make the mistake of going to a supercharger without navigating to it, where it can do the preheat and preconditioning, pre-cool in some cases. When you go to unplug from that session, it says next time you should navigate to the supercharger so I can precondition first.
Yeah,
Yes.
Instead of just showing up and the car thinks you're going to the mall, and what you're actually doing is trying to charge.
Right.
So
because it will reduce the time spent charging, and it'll take charge faster, and it'll
here's
take it more efficiently with less time.
Here's a hint for Tesla developers: roll that into the voice commands. Start preheat.
Or preconditioning.
Preconditioning, yeah, that would be.
It looks like you're heading to near a supercharger. Are you?
Well, that's too late. That's too late. You're almost there, right?
I mean,
no. If you put in the mall, like you said, and that mall happens to have a supercharger, it could say, "Would you like to supercharge when you arrive?" If you put in that as your destination.
And there's enough AI out there they can be like, every time this guy actually goes here, he really does supercharge either before, after, or in between. It looks like you're writing a letter. Would you like some help?
Right. So just do the preconditioning if you're traveling near one.
Well, if they're traveling nearby and they don't supercharge and they don't have home charging, that could cost them some miles or days of travel.
It definitely could.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's something we're all going to learn as time goes along. Even the most experienced drivers, they're going to experience the more volume of traffic out there. They may understand what happens in the winter and to be prepared for it, but when you add 2 million vehicles next year to the fleet, and then you add 3 million the next year, we're all going to experience some of this. So just
Mhm.
be prepared.
I was glad that on the summary call and the and not the call, but the slide deck that they released before the call, that they pointed out how many new supercharger handles, how many new supercharger sites, and how
Mhm.
many new mobile service and service centers were added to the fleet. So that was nice.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
it shows that they're paying attention. That the question is now: is it the right? Does it match? And if it doesn't, what can we do to get them to make it match?
Yeah, I'm not convinced that Mark, you and your friends didn't all get together and say, let's all go charge at the same time to cause a queue so that we can get more supercharging installed up here. It was a conspiracy, wasn't it, Mark? And you're behind it. I know it.
And before Mark actually got into his car, he was in his garage and he was toggling the lumbar support. And then he got in.
Yeah, that's right. The passenger lumbar support. Yeah.
Yes.
Going, nobody uses the lumbar support except for this guy in Kitchener. I don't understand it. Nobody.
I built a little Arduino system to just toggle it back and forth while driving to give me a massage.
Exactly. Next, we got a story about a police department and
One of our favorite subjects.
Exactly.
Yeah, we've talked about that a few times here.
Now, this has come up many times, hasn't it? Different police department.
And it's not just police; it's fleet. But this is the easiest one to get.
We've even interviewed someone.
That's right. We had Chief Todd on from the greater Indianapolis area. So this particular story is about a Wisconsin department that has started to crunch the numbers that they've probably seen from maybe Chief Todd and others. Is that this Somerset Police Department in Wisconsin has decided to choose the Model Y as one of their new patrol cars. So while the Model Y, of course, is more expensive at the start than other vehicles, of course, we know that. But we also know that the vehicle has the ability to make up for the upfront cost in maintenance and, of course, fuel savings combined.
Well, also, with the Model Y qualifying for the tax credit, it might actually cost less than the Explorer up front.
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, with that tax credit in play, that's definitely could be the case.
And then if they add any charging or battery storage, that's extra tax credits. I mean, I know it's still like a government entity, but they qualify for some of these bonuses.
Now, they came up with a quite large figure, which kind of shocked me. It's what drew me to the story, is they're indicating that the car, the Model Y, is going to save them $80,000 over the lifetime of the vehicle. Now, that's kind of high, and I got into the details of the article, and they broke it down year by year, and they're planning on keeping the Model Y for 10 years. So $8,000 a year over 10 years. So that's where they came up with the $80,000 figure. I'm thinking that 10 years probably optimistic. I haven't heard of one police department that keeps their vehicles beyond 6 years.
Not the main service ones, but yeah, I've seen them do that.
10 years? That's quite a bit for an interceptor.
Like the meter cars, the service truck, but not the patrol cars.
Yeah.
But we know somebody with an almost 10-year-old car. And...
That's right. Yes, I have a 2016, so it's 7 years old. It's getting there. And David just made a great comment in the chat that you save enough to pay for the whole vehicle.
You got a free car.
Yeah,
so if the vehicle can survive as an interceptor for 10 years, then yeah, that it paid for the vehicle, which you cannot do with any other vehicle out there.
Right.
Only an electric vehicle could perform this because of the savings in maintenance and fuel. So this is interesting because more and more, of course, police departments have already bought the Model Y or have had a Model 3. And what's great is they're actually, the bean counters for those different counties or cities are recording this information, obviously, because they're keeping track of the maintenance that's being performed. And word is getting out that, yes, the vehicle can perform in this way, and the savings are real. And this is something that more and more city councilors are coming to the awareness of, and it becomes an easy solution when not only can you say that the savings are going to happen, but you've got proof from other police departments that actually does happen. So I'm thinking this is going to accelerate dramatically as time goes along here.
Yeah, they started with the bean counters about all the stuff they're saving. Then they said it's American made, and then the very first human factors they put, it's the highest crash test rating. So they're looking out for the safety of their employees first. Well, the first one about people was the safety rating, because they didn't go to performance or long vehicle life until after they pointed out the crash test, which was also something pretty cool to be able.
And the other thing about these interceptors is that, of course, with gasoline vehicles, the car's on constantly throughout its entire shift. It's running whether the police officer is sitting at the side of a highway, or he's working on his computer, or he's chasing somebody. The car is always on, the engine's always running. But of course, with the Model Y, the benefit is you may not be running the vehicle at all. It's just keeping up the HVAC system. It's not burning fuel at any point, let alone when you're idling, because it's just pulling from the 12 volt and which is connected to the high voltage pack. So there's no real loss to the vehicle's use at all, and it keeps the cost down. So big plus for anyone that's using it in that type of role, which I gotta believe in a police department, they're not chasing people all the time. I would say that, over 50% of the time they're idling. So
right. And this is a car that's actually built to do that, because when you consider what the car is doing all day long, is all these systems are already running. And then if you charge at some of the slowest settings possible, those systems are still on, because they got to keep the battery in a good spot, and they got to also keep the 12 volt trickle charging while the high voltage is doing its thing. So it's nothing if they run these things in shifts and the car just stays on. The car is already built to stay on most of the day anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah, the thing I liked about this article is they're leading with the cost savings. Yeah. So that anybody who wanted to be critical of them and say, "Oh, you're doing it for environmental reasons," or you're not spending the public money wisely and buying these expensive Teslas that are only for rich people or whatever, right. They're cutting all of that argument off. And yes, they're getting all the other benefits too, but they're leading with the one that I think makes it most publicly acceptable, even in parts of the country where they're going to be anti-EV.
Right, and that's why I like that they, the first human factor was the safety, but they didn't start with that, because their first thing is going to be the people saying, "Oh, you're buying luxury cars for the police. Oh, what do the police need safe cars for? They signed up for danger." America's police are really danger averse, for one, and two,
everybody
know that they're not wasting the money. Go ahead.
Yeah, I said they're going to be doing high speed pursuits, and those could result in crashes. So you, of course, want to be in a safe vehicle. Nobody is like, "I signed up for danger. I don't care if I'm paralyzed." I mean, no.
I'm not going to wear a seatbelt when I'm in a pursuit because I signed up for danger.
There's all of that, but also even if they are danger junkies, now your taxpayer money is again on the hook, not just for the car, but also for all their funerals and all that other stuff. So
yeah, injuries are expensive. Yeah. So yeah, if you can avoid the injury, even better.
Even being a safe car saves you money.
Definitely.
So here's
all right. What's next, Mark?
Police department.
Oh, cool.
This, of course, is an RCMP vehicle, the first in Canada that the federal RCMP has taken in British Columbia, and
mounted on a Tesla.
They've got a Model Y with a push bar. So this is the first one the RCMP has taken, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police has taken in Canada. So there's our police department starting to wake up and realize that the savings are there. And this will be a test for other detachments of the RCMP.
Like a certain kind of future to me there, Patrick.
I like that push bar there. Oh, yes. All of this is setting us on our path towards a future free from fossil fuels.
There we go.
Bingo. Bingo.
I do wonder why they all have the external light bar. Is it because they don't want to lose any headroom to the internal one? And why not put it up against the glass?
I guess they're not too worried about aerodynamics.
Yeah, probably
it's like
not.
Doing the full range all day.
So another thing to talk about was about Investor Day, which we mentioned at the start of the show, which is going to be happening on March the 1st. They released I guess it's an invitation that, of course, none of us got, as we also mentioned at the start of the show. But we did get a copy of the invitation, so we're going to share that with everybody now.
And what you see on it that looks like fabric is not fabric.
Little Easter egg.
Yeah.
If you zoom in on it, it's not fabric, although it does kind of look like fabric, doesn't it? Which was probably the point. But each of these little rectangles is basically the outer door assembly.
The outer shell. Yeah. The whole right side or left side of a Model Y.
Right. So we've got the front door and the back door and the rear
fenders,
hub area, and the fenders up front and back.
Mm-hmm.
And
I did see that it was a car stamping. I couldn't tell it was a Model Y. That's pretty impressive if you know them that well.
I was thinking Model 3 or Model Y, but then Sandy Monroe got up there with it's Sean, right? And
they zoomed in on it. They pulled up some photos that also had the stampings of the Model Y. And although they think there's a little bit of a difference, they believe it is a Model Y.
Yeah, but they were also off on the numbers. They said they counted up how many rows each direction, and they came up with 2 million. The Tesla was trying to tell us they were going to make 2 million this year.
However, that would be quite the Easter egg, yeah.
Right, but
they counted it on the screen, right? And they said there's about 5,680 or something like that, and all that adds up to almost 2 million.
Right, and so Sandy made a small miscalculation. He said there were eight skins on these sleds. But somebody who recently did a factory tour pointed out that actually Tesla stacks their skins 16 deep. So this could be even more impressive than that. Yes. Like 3.3
but you need one on each side, though.
Yeah, you do need one on each side.
Okay, so then we're down to the original. Okay. So I think that that's probably, again, we all guessed around 2 million. It's in that area, so we'll have to see. But that's quite an Easter egg if they were actually going for these are the number of cars that are built every day, or number of Model Ys that would be built every day. So that'd be kind of cool. But
we'll find out.
We will find out, and hopefully we find out a few other nice little interest pieces on March the 1st, which I'm sure we will.
For us.
I am really hoping. I am hoping beyond hope that maybe a new vehicle will be announced. That would be very nice. But
perhaps we will do it here.
Oh, yeah.
Is it a Wednesday?
It's a Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday. Okay, definitely something to consider for sure.
Master Plan 3 is coming out. That's part of we've had the original and then part 2, now 3. So,
I'm disappointed. It's not trois. It's 3.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that. We've been teased with it for a long time, before the whole Twitter fiasco even. And so now we finally get to see what's going to be in there. And we've got some hints. We know it's going to be about massively scaling. So I'm hoping that means that they announce some new Gigafactory locations. I'm actually surprised that they haven't already, just because Austin and Berlin are now ramping. So they should be pouring concrete somewhere else and working on that initial phase. If they're going to take a year to get that done, we need to have some more places opening. And you can say they're at least 2. I would 3 or 4 would be even better. So let's get going. Let's get going on that.
Oh, there's Giga Nevada, but I'm assuming that they've already broken ground on that.
Right. So they are expanding in their current locations, and I'm all for that too. But I want to see them get. We're talking about, are they going to make 2 million? Well, okay, I'm more interested in when they get to 10 million, and then 12 million, 20. And and keep going. Yeah, that's the more interesting part.
Of the legacies, what was the biggest number they've had? Does anybody know?
I think Toyota's number 1, and they make about 12 million vehicles a year.
And dropping?
Right. Yes.
Over the past 2 years, they've been dropping. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what their peak has ever been. I don't know what the biggest company historically has ever been.
Well, Casey looks into that. Patrick's got our next story, and that is about some Powerwall news.
That's right. You all know I love Powerwalls. We've got 3 of them on the side of the house here, and it's great. So this is coming to us from Teslarati, again by Simon Alvarez, and is titled Tesla Powerwalls Help Over 3,700 Homes Keep the Lights On During a Texas Winter Storm. So Ontario is not the only place getting some cold weather. There's been a lot of freezing happening in Austin. And Simon Alvarez here wrote that the storm brought 0.69 inches of ice. Now, he could have had that in centimeters or some other unit or said just more than a half inch. But I think I see what you did there. 0.69. Yes, it's the Tesla joke. Nice. So this was from a Tesla solar and Powerwall owner tweeted, despite being covered in ice, the overcast skies, and the constant drizzle, our Tesla solar panels and Powerwalls are still keeping up with our energy needs while we keep warm at home. Be safe, Texas. And Tesla Solar retweeted that, saying that there's over 3,700 Tesla Texas solar owners that are avoiding outages due to this storm. And one of my coworkers sent me a picture of a bridge in Austin that was covered in ice with these giant icicles hanging down. That the bridge was closed because driving under it, you could get impaled. It was so yeah. Powerwalls are awesome. They're how you get to energy independence. Being able to have your own power source that you can keep your home lights on and warm overnight is incredible. You can charge it up with sunlight and then run that overnight. And I do that for every peak hours where we're running off batteries if there's not enough sunlight. And that's usually early in the morning or late in the evening. So there's usually not, and it's never midday. That's not when they are desperate for energy. It's when people come home and turn on their air conditionings in the summer. And so it's really cool. And this is just helping people not freeze to death is a great thing.
Yep. Our friend Marcus over at the EV Smoke, he showed us his setup as well with his Powerwalls, keeping the lights on there in Austin.
Cool.
I know Wikipedia is not acceptable for a school project, but I'm not in school, and
not anymore.
It looks like 2.5 million by Chevrolet in 1977, and only went down from there.
Oh, what is?
It goes through 2000. I couldn't get anything newer than 2000. But you see, it got even lower. What was the question?
That must just be U.S. then.
That's what I asked it. I said U.S.
Okay. Yeah, the Toyota number I threw out was worldwide.
Would have been world.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Tesla is worldwide, but let me adjust my search.
So another thing about those Powerwalls is if, and I know that Austin has some sort of a connection with the power company to connect them, as Patrick does with his power company. So that 3,700 Powerwalls in Austin would not only help the people that have it, but indirectly it could help the grid as well, which of course can affect many people that don't have solar or batteries at this time. So stabilizing the grid and being able to have 3,700 customers take care of themselves for a number of hours certainly can be advantageous to a power company as they're scrambling with winter weather and shutdowns and diverting of power back and forth, trying to make the grid stable during a storm.
Right. Yeah. If they're able to extract 3 or 4 kilowatt hour rate from a kilowatt rate from those systems, you could power 3 or 4 homes in your neighborhood with that.
Yeah. So a big plus for many things there.
Worldwide production of 57 million, worldwide sales of 66.1 million. So if they
Who
get to
did
20,
that?
there'll be a significant portion of the world's
Oh, that's total of the.
Yeah.
That's the whole vehicle market.
Everybody.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So roughly 60 million is the total market. Okay, that just gives you a good ballpark.
So if Tesla sells 20 million vehicles in a year, that's a third of the market.
The worldwide market. I mean, hey, they're already number one with one car in great many countries. So.
Yeah, and that it's rocketed to the top in no time. Like compared to the Model 3, the Model Y has definitely set the bar higher. As Elon told us the day it was introduced, that this car eventually would outsell all other Tesla vehicles combined. So
while we got it hiding in the shadows, color matched and camouflage.
Yeah, like it was certainly an anti Model Y debut.
Right.
We commented on that during the live review of that car when it was revealed or not revealed, started, I guess, delivery. But it definitely has taken off. What would happen, guys, if Tesla introduced a $25,000 or $30,000 base price car?
That's a very good question. Toyota's peak was somewhere between 2014 at 10 million.
Just okay.
10 million.
All right.
They got this. What would happen with a cheaper car?
Like if the Model Y's been so successful at a higher price, can you imagine a car that comes in at half the price?
Right. The market grows exponentially as the price drops linearly. So a lot more people come into the market.
Yeah, that would,
don't need a car right now. Like, I've got this 10-year-old gas guzzler, but I only drive to the grocery store and back. Oh, I think I want that instead.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think I'm probably way too optimistic, but I'm really hoping March 1st gives us some light on a cheaper, smaller car, a hatchback, something along that line from Tesla.
Or
even though I realize that they probably can't support it battery-wise. There's not a chance they can at this point. But
thanks, Jim.
There is a possibility that if the car is introduced, it could Osborne themselves. If people believe that something's coming out, but then again, we are talking about different levels of cars and different price ranges. So some people would not be able to afford the current cars anyways, regardless of what happens. Right. So there's different things at play here. I'm really hoping, but I guess we'll have to wait till March the 1st and see what happens.
Came out that was pretty cool to see was the Model 3 lease for the base model. Is within, depending on how you slice and dice the down payments and the total due at signing, is within $20 of the fully loaded Corolla. And so depending on if you match what Toyota says, they say it's like $20 cheaper for the Tesla. And if you just kind of just do with what they both say to bring in, then it's like $40 more expensive for the Tesla. That's phenomenal. Yeah. And that's both leases as well. And so somebody said, "Oh, you're not going to crush a Corolla and a Model 3." Of the fully loaded one and the base one, they're enough that you could do the Tesla stretch. You're not going to be looking at the entry level, the $100 on the dealer ad, but it's actually $300 a month Corolla against any Model 3. No, but if you're already at the top of the chain, you might stretch.
And like we just talked about with the police fleets, that's because you don't have to do brake pads and oil changes and gasoline and fuel filters and oil filters and all the other stuff that goes along with that. You end up saving money for
the life of the lease. The Tesla's going to be cheaper, but just cash outlay. They're within spitting distance of each other.
Right.
Yeah. Very good. Well, if you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up. That helps us out, helps the show out, and press that subscribe button if you haven't. It doesn't cost you anything and helps us out. You're supporting the show, and we would really appreciate it. With that said, we're wrapping up. Casey, what do you got for shoutouts this week?
Over on Sundays, hit us up at youtube.com at Casey Green, and that's KACEYGREEN. Sundays at 1:10 Eastern, we go through this same sort of thing, but with a focus on like the whole market, the houses, everything. And we have ourselves a blast. No time limit. Just when we've gone through everything that there is to talk about, we just poof. Then we do it again next week.
Sign off.
We do.
Very good. Very good. Patrick, what do you got for us for shout outs at the end of the show?
Yeah, I've got a shout out. So, as you guys know, I post stuff on Twitter for the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association, oeva.org. And I recently posted something that was a chart showing growth in plug-in cars, and that included battery, electric, and plug-in hybrids. And someone who is a EV purist was calling it propaganda and how those things still burn fuel and just being a hater on plug-in hybrids. And I agree that I mean, I drive, our garage is full of all electric, but there's no reason to start bashing on plug-in hybrids. These are cars that can drive electric. Most people who have them drive them mostly on electric. Not every place has the infrastructure to allow everybody to drive just on electric. So there's no reason until all the gas cars are gone. Then we can start worrying about which ones plug in and drive the farthest and which ones still have gas engines. But we're not there yet. So don't be a hater on plug-in hybrids just because you like Tesla or you like battery electric vehicles. Any electric mile is a good mile. Let's be embracing, inclusive, and widen the tent, not be purist and kick people out. It's just rude. Don't be rude. It makes us all look bad. Anyway, I might write a blog post about that at carswithcords.net.
I do hate on the manufacturers who do it and use it as an excuse not to make a real electric car. But that's about it. Like, I have a Mazda.
Right. So I mean, if that's how you feel, don't buy a Mazda. I mean, and
I would never get mad at the person who bought the Mazda because they don't have home charging or whatever. But I am mad that Mazda says, here's another rotary engine because we don't think that batteries work. Okay.
Right.
Whatever.
Yes. I mean, that's just, yeah. There's plenty of reasons to hate on some of the manufacturers talking about self-charging hybrids. That's just stupid marketing BS. and I'm not saying fall for that. I'm not, by no means.
Well, I mean, look at it this way: a plug-in hybrid is what would actually make hydrogen work, but they don't want to do that.
Yeah, I don't even want to get into how dumb hydrogen is.
and I have to say that in my case, back in 2014, a plug-in hybrid was something that allowed me to be comfortable enough to move into a partial EV and allowed me to get involved with it because it gave me the bridge that I needed for charging and not being quite sure about the whole thing. It allowed me to learn about electric and understand that, yes, I could move to a full BEV later. But in the beginning, some people need that security blanket, and it's helpful, and it allows people to convert. Or, as we've said many times, it's a gateway drug, as others put it. So
right. Yes, so be supportive. Yeah, absolutely. That was my PSA. Thanks.
Very good. Very good. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us. Again, press that thumbs up if you haven't done it, and we will get together next week, and together we'll find out what's happening in the Tesla life.
Stay positive. Test negative.
Have a great week.